Alrighty, well, we are back again. What's up, people? Jonathan Wiseman here. This is the Houston Entrepreneurs Podcast. And today, I got a guest with me that I've been trying to get on the show for about a year now. So I'm real happy my boy Martin's here. He is owner of First Choice Roofing. So today, we're going to talk to Martin to see how he got into business and what it's been looking like over the last several years, what it takes to build and own and operate a roofing company. So if business itself, entrepreneurship is something that you're interested in, this show is going to be for you. But if you are looking to get into the roofing or construction business, anything kind of circling that, this is really going to be for you. So I hope y'all tune in and join me over the next 30 minutes or so with Martin. And without further ado, Martin, what's happening, brother? I appreciate you finally coming on the show.
How you doing?
Just grinding, man. We just got over New Year's. What was that, 2 days ago? Wednesday. Today's Friday. And this week, taking a Wednesday off has really been interesting. I was just telling my wife yesterday that, you always see different things online. That's the work week, 30-hour work weeks, or the less you work, the more productive you are. And that's kind of the case with somebody, I think, that's punching a clock, working a 40-hour work week. They would probably be more productive doing their A, B, and C's, or whatever their scope of work is, or job duties and responsibilities are, if they were able to condense a 40 hours down to a 30-hour. But obviously, us being entrepreneurs, owning the business, that doesn't ever fucking happen. And you can always say, okay, when we make it, then we can start taking hours off. But most entrepreneurs never reach a level where they feel like they've made it. But it was really interesting to take a Wednesday off in the middle of the week, because I felt like I came into the office and grinded my fucking ass off for 2 days, knowing that I was taking off. And then now it's another 2-day work week, Thursday and Friday.
Yeah, it was a little tricky over New Year's and going into Christmas.
It's been weird. And then Christmas was on, the same day. So it's trying to get in and get settled. Everybody's still out of town. I'm the only fucking one that feels like I'm here working.
Yeah, I mean, that's the same thing with what we had going on. I had projects going on. These general contractors wanted us to be on a job site, but they weren't even on the job site. They were telling us to be there, and we go over there, and they're not even there. It's like, but
it's the holiday for you.
Yeah, it's just...
We won't mention any names on those GCs.
No.
How was your New Year? How was your Christmas?
That was good. How about you?
It's always, fuck, I don't know, bro.
Yeah.
It's the holidays. I always look at, especially when it falls in the middle of the week, it kind of screws up my whole month. It's always great to take a couple days off, spend it with family and stuff like that.
That was the biggest thing for me. I don't have a whole bunch of time, a lot of the time, most of the time, to really, hang out with the kids. And that's basically, the most important thing that we have going on right now anyway is our kids. So it was good to spend the time with them.
Yeah. That's what it's supposed to be about.
Yeah.
Not to mention all the presents and all the fun stuff under the Christmas tree. Well, let's go ahead and quit talking about the holidays, and let's dive right into learn a little bit more about you. Tell me where you're from. Where'd you grow up at? Where are you from, Martin?
I was born in Richmond, Texas. Grew up in the Missouri City, Sugar Land area. Around 1985, my mom moved us to Missouri City. I stayed on the southwest side of Houston for the majority of my life, and then when I was about, in my mid-20s, I moved up to the north side of Houston in the Spring, Tomball, Woodlands area, and that's where I've been ever since.
So, you've been out there for a while.
Yeah, I've been out there now probably 10 years.
Damn.
That's how long I've had my business.
That's
10
crazy.
years. Yeah.
That shit goes by quick. We're getting old. Let's not talk years.
I know, it's crazy. My birthday's on January 12th.
Is it? Well, mine's a month before yours.
You're right, yeah.
So
I don't know what I'm going to do with myself in my life.
You 49,
midlife
50
crisis.
or what?
Yeah.
How old are you turning now?
Asshole. Yeah. No, I'm actually going to be 40.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh, the big 4-0.
Yeah.
Any plans yet?
No, you know what? My wife was just asking me, Liz was just asking me this morning about, what do you want to do? And I'm like, I don't know. She's like, well, do you want to have another casino party here at the house? Remember when we did that?
Yeah.
That was fun. I said, man, I don't feel like dealing with that. She's like, well, what do you want to do? I'm like, I don't know.
Let's drive down to Louisiana.
We could.
Shit, I'm down.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, she found for me that the World Series of Poker is actually in Biloxi, Mississippi.
Is it?
They have it's an event that moves around. So
when is that?
It's right on that weekend of the January 12th, roughly. Yeah. She's like, if you want to go by yourself, go get a plane ticket, head out there and go, play the series if you want to. And I'm like, I don't know, well, I can go with you if you want, but she's, I'd be at the table playing the whole time.
Yeah, she'll be shopping.
Yeah, exactly. So I might have to go with myself. No, I might not do anything, but I am, kind of considering possibly doing a casino night and maybe doing it at the at our community. We have a real nice facility.
Community center?
Community center. Yeah,
that'd be real cool.
Yeah, so it'll have a lot more room than my house.
Gotcha.
So
well, happy 40th, brother.
Yeah,
I'm sure I'll be kicking it with you.
Yeah, appreciate it.
So let's take it back to Mo City, Sugar Land, Fort Bend area, where you were raised. Where'd you go to high school out there?
High school, I went to Dulles High School.
Is that where you graduated from?
Yeah, not too far from here, actually.
Yeah, it's right down the street. Yeah, for sure. And then did you go to college after that?
Didn't really go to college, man. I took a semester of college, and then after that, right out of high school, I had a business doing pressure washing, and I kind of fell into that. And then after that, I had another business, and after that, I had another business, and then I fell into what I'm doing now, So, I didn't really do the college thing.
Yeah. So pressure washing was your first business that you owned. Mm-hmm. Did you do that by yourself? How'd you get into that?
Well, actually, my girlfriend at the time, her uncle actually approached me and said, "Hey, look, I'm looking for somebody to do pressure washing. We have a contract with this large commercial company, and we want you to do this pressure washing. And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, I'll try it out." And I saw opportunity there. Sure. And from that, just with my mindset, I kind of ran with it myself, and I went in and dove in feet first on my own at that point. And but I got into it because of that.
I gotcha. Normally I like to ask people what their first job was, but you're kind of like me. I was kicked out of the house I think I was just turning 17. It was spring break, senior year. Dad was like, live by the rules or get out. And I said peace and went and partied on the beach for about a month before I moved back to Houston. But then real quick, you figure out what you have to do to pay those bills when you're not on somebody else's overhead or in their house or roof, whatever the fuck you want to call it.
Right.
So pressure washing was it for you. Now, I don't want to get too much into that. I want to get into where you're at now.
Right.
You mentioned Liz earlier. That's your wife. Do you have any kids?
Yeah, I have 3 kids, Daniel, Sophia, and Corey. So I have 2 girls and 1 boy. Corey, she just turned 17, and my son, he's 9, about to turn 10 in March, and my daughter just turned 8 years old. Yeah. They're all they're getting old.
Beautiful kids.
The blink of an eye.
So with this many kids and kind of spread out in age ranges, which mine are too, what type of extracurricular activities and sports are y'all dealing with on a regular?
Corey, she's been playing softball. Pretty, proud of her. She has stuck with softball for quite a while. So she, we're hoping that she can utilize that in hoping to helping her get possibly a scholarship.
Sure.
And right now she's a junior, so next year she'll be a senior, and we're starting to look at schools for her. And my son, he plays baseball, and my daughter's in competitive gymnastics. She's doing really well with that.
Sophie.
So, yeah, Sophie.
I'm seeing her pictures all over the place. She has her own Instagram for.
Yeah.
I mean, she's gonna be a little Olympian.
I don't know. She's doing good with it, and I think I just want them to stick to something. And one of the biggest things that I've had a struggle with my entire life has been with the follow through and sticking with something and getting it across the finish line, and seeing things out and seeing things through. That's been a big challenge of mine. I can start everything, numerous things all at one time, but taking something and really, taking it across the finish line has always been my struggle. So I really, for them, my kids, I want them to really, take something and
get it past
stick with it, basically.
I can 100% relate to that. My wife calls it shiny ball syndrome. And I still, and you and I, we go back many years since we are in our late teens, and we've always been, entrepreneurial spirit and business minded and always owned companies our whole lives. We can see the opportunity in everything.
Everything.
Yeah, everything.
So
I have that same problem, and that is, it's cool that you're instilling that into the kids to get them to follow through with what they're doing. I actually have just recently had to make myself do that over the last few years, and I've learned more in the last 4 years than I have my whole life when it's come to that issue, and really recognizing it and seeing how, even though there's opportunity over here and you might be able to turn it into a profit, at the end of the day, it's spreading you thin to where it's going to hurt you in the long run. And sometimes, even if it falls right in line with what you're already doing, it can still pull away from it. And that was one of my biggest downfalls in life as well. So appreciate you sharing that with us. So let's talk about roofing. When was it that you got into the roofing company? I know a couple business you were in growing up in your early 20s. At what point did you decide? How did that fall in your lap? What made you decide roofing?
Well, I had a business that I was running that I decided to get out of. And at that point, I went into construction. I was a superintendent for a developer, builder, both doing commercial and residential construction. And from there, building went soft. We were building homes at the time and doing some light industrial construction and developing, just undeveloped land. So when building went soft and there wasn't much work to do at that time, I had a friend of mine actually approach me, he was in the roofing business and residential roofing. And there was a hurricane that just hit. Maybe a couple years before, and they were actually out running around, doing residential roofing, and he asked me if I'd be interested in taking a look at what they had going on, and from there I had
So that was your foot in the door.
That was the foot in the door. That was my initial experience with residential roofing.
Yeah.
We were building houses, putting on roofs, but it's a totally different ball game when you're doing residential re-roof.
Yeah, so roof replacement versus new construction and putting roofs on. So it's two completely different things.
Yeah, because you're dealing with a customer with a specific need at that point. Building homes, you don't have that client that you're dealing with specifically for that one need. So from there, I got my little bit of experience with the company that I started working for. So when building went soft, I did go to work with a buddy of mine. He was my direct supervisor. He was my sales manager. So from there, I had started to produce quite a bit. And things just didn't work out, and I decided to go off on my own, and that's kind of where it started.
How long were you with that company doing roofing?
For about 2 years.
And so that you pretty much learned the trade, learned everything you needed to start your own business?
No. and the reason why I say that, it's kind of...
Did you think you knew everything?
No, not at all. And you know what? That's one of the reasons why I did not want to be a part of what they had going on. And this will kind of lead into how I got where I'm at this point. And what I mean by that is, there's over 5,000 people calling themselves roofers or roofing companies in Houston alone.
Really?
Yeah.
That many?
And that's an old statistic. Damn. I know there's more than that. If you go look up how many DBAs there are for roofing, there's over 5,000. And that was a few years ago. I know there's more than that now.
So are there any licenses? What type of licenses do you need to be a roofer?
There are none. And that's one of the reasons why there are so many. It's an unregulated trade. It's not like plumbing, electrical, HVAC. So there's no regulation whatsoever. And
so anybody can go get a DBA or LLC and call themselves a roofer?
Yeah, and you don't even need a DBA. As a matter of fact, you don't even need insurance because there's no regulation whatsoever. Wow. And that's kind of what brought me to the point that I'm at now. And one of the reasons why I left the company that I was at is because it wasn't, I don't know if you'd call it a roofing company. And what I consider myself at this point, I am a roofing company. I have a roofing company. The company that I was with was a marketing company.
Yeah. Well, and that's one thing that I've noticed. Obviously, I'm a marketing company, and I've worked with a couple local roofers. And that's, after seeing your operations and being at your location and being at theirs and seeing the real difference as far as, who's stocking materials, who has training facilities, who has in-house employees versus some companies that just have, trucks with their magnets on the side and they're just sending their people out to go knock on doors and try to close deals. And I even see it in digital marketing. Mm-hmm. It's really the churn rate is so, 3 to 4 months in the marketing business where you find businesses are just salespeople and they're marketing companies and they don't know shit about the trade.
It's exactly the same thing.
So out of the 5,000, roofing guys out there, there's how many are real roofing companies out there, would you think?
A fraction. I mean, I would say probably less than 5%. Real roofing companies. Everybody else is a marketing company, because anybody can go, get a DBA, get some business cards, and go knock on some doors and go hire a subcontracting crew that they have never done any business with before. They have no track record. They don't know what they can do or don't do. And they don't even know how to construct a roof, the proper way to actually build a roofing system. And they hire somebody and completely rely and depend on what they are to do with that roof for what that customer is paying for. So it's a real, the market is just, I don't even know how to explain it. It's just, it's not right.
Yeah. Coming from somebody who owns a roofing company and being transparent about that, I appreciate you bringing that to the forefront. I mean, it's important for people to know that there's just a lot of salespeople out there closing deals. They're chasing storms, and then they're hiring these crews that I would think that half of them aren't even documented.
Yeah.
And they're jumping on roofs and fixing shit half-assed.
All of them aren't documented. Yeah.
All of them are not documented.
All of them. Yeah. There's not. It's not a.
We are in Houston, right? We're in the border state, so
it is what it is. And are you going to go out and get on that roof? Do you know anybody that is going to go out and get on that roof and do that type of labor? No, you don't.
You're the only person I know that's I've seen on actual roofs doing it themselves.
Yeah. So, it's a tricky game that's being played out there right now.
Well, we'll get into more of the details of the roofing business as well. But I wanted to kind of take a step back for the people that are looking at entrepreneurship and possibly getting into the roofing business. You worked with the company, you were saying, for 2 to 3 years. You didn't really learn a lot. And sometimes it's, always say what you learn or what you know, but sometimes you learn what you don't know or what you don't want. And it seems like that was kind of the case. So at what point did you go from working for somebody, what was the decision? What was going on in your head when you were finally like, all right, I don't want to work for this person anymore. I want to go do it for myself. What was that like?
Well, I think it wasn't my decision on why I left the organization that I was with, the company that I was with, was more of them not really acknowledging the fact that I was putting in the work. And they really made that apparent when the referrals that would call in for me and the work that I produced, and their neighbors actually calling in to have me come out and do an assessment of their roof. At that point, my sales manager, my friend, actually was going and running those referral leads.
Basically stealing all your leads, stealing money out of your pocket.
Pretty much. That's the reason why I left.
You're going out there knocking on doors, busting your ass, getting deals.
Right.
And somebody else is answering the phone calls. Taking the leads.
And another reason was, the whole, methodology behind that company was, hey.
It was sales driven.
It was sales driven. So if you knew somebody that wanted to get into the business, or somebody that wanted to make money, or somebody that wasn't making, quite as much money as you thought that they could, then, hey, bring them along with you, show them what you're doing, have them ride along in your vehicle, and go knock on some doors, and that's the training. There's no training of the roofing system. It's just training on how to sell.
Yeah.
That's it.
And do they ever do it like a pyramid scheme where whoever you bring on, friends that work underneath you and go sell roofs, you get a piece of what they make?
Yeah, to a certain degree. Yeah, and I was one of those that was considered a trainer. Mm-hmm. And for a certain time, the people that I brought on, I was getting compensated for that, and that got taken away from me as well. So some of those things actually, turn me off to the organization.
Yeah, so it wasn't a legit business model that you're working for. It was a bunch of dudes in trucks knocking on doors.
That's exactly right.
I got you.
Yeah. And so I didn't have the education. I knew of roofing because I was building homes. So I knew roofing application, but I wanted to take it a step further. I wanted to know the ins and outs of the products. I wanted to know the ins and outs of the correct way to install a roofing system, and not just from a builder's perspective, because when you get a house built, let me tell you something about the roofs that are put on when you get a new construction home built. The quality of those roofs are not the quality of a roof that that I would put on at this point, and I recognize that now. I didn't recognize that when I was building homes. So there was a lot that I had to learn, which I was not taught when I first got into the business.
Yeah, and I think that's in a lot of businesses. You got to get in there and get knee deep in it before you kind of start to find your way through it and figure it all out.
Mm-hmm.
So when you decided to go ahead and launch that business and leave who you were with, was that, were you a family man at that time? Were you married with kids then, or was this prior to
I just had my me and my wife just had my son. He was probably he was a 1-year-old. And it's
I mean, how was it? It had to have been scary going from, somewhat having a job to, and I know you've been an entrepreneur before, but, what were those discussions like? What was it like? How'd you get started?
It really wasn't a big deal for me. And I think that God put it on my heart at the time to not worry about it. I knew what I was capable of doing, and I was doing what I had to do at the time.
Yeah.
And I think my son and my family was the big motivator, and that's what really carried me through and didn't even have me second guess what I was doing.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So, there was no question, there was no doubt whatsoever, because I knew that I was producing for myself. There was not even a question of if I could do it. I was already doing it.
So now it's just a matter of doing it for yourself instead of doing it for somebody else.
And doing it 10 times better.
Yeah, doing it the right way.
Right.
Gotcha.
So I started to dive into education. I was educating myself at that point. Even when I was with the other company, I started to educate myself because they provided no education, no proper training. And that was one of the things that really pushed me to do my own thing as well.
So what are some of the first steps of owning a roofing company? If somebody out there is watching, they want to start their own roofing company, what are the first 5 things that you do besides going and getting a DBA and logo and whatever else?
Right.
Do you set up vendors? How'd you get funded? Did you have to put together a certain amount of money? Or is it the type of business where, no, first you go sell a roof, you get a deposit, and you can tell me later on if that comes from insurance companies or from the homeowners. Is it the type of business where you had to start with a specific budget or get a cash injection, or were you able to just kind of wing it?
Well,
tell me how you got started.
Right. Yeah. Let me tell you how I got started. So, from what I produced working for the company that I had, learned about residential re-roofs from.
You don't want to say any names.
I'm not saying any names. Yeah, it'll probably be apparent. They're
apparent to them.
Yeah, they'll know who they are.
I'm just messing with you.
Yeah, so, anyways,
I wouldn't ask you to do that.
I had a little bit of a nest egg that I had saved up.
Okay.
And I had a little bit of capital, and I was already, as I was in that business, I had already had a small general contracting company where I was doing some different types of trade work with residential customers. Like I was building a patio cover, or doing painting or siding replacement.
Because you're already in the construction.
I was already in the construction business. I had all the trades already, so this kind of just worked out to where I had my company already. I then just started to add roofing to it.
Gotcha.
So
and is that, one of my questions was going to be, what made you decide on picking residential versus commercial? But I'm assuming you're already doing residential construction, so it played right into it.
That's all I knew at the moment. At that time that, I knew residential. I was building residential homes, and I had been working for a roofing company, quote unquote roofing company, and one of those 5,000 roofing companies. I was working for a roofing company, and at that time, that's all I knew was residential.
And so what were some of those steps after you decided to go off on your own, start your residential roofing? You add it to what you're doing. Do you start putting together, are there certain vendors you work with? And if you would, kind of take in mind somebody who's wanting to follow in your footsteps and do things the right way. What would be some of the first things that they need to do to set up a roofing company the right way? Do they go look for vendors? Do they, education was one of the big things that you mentioned and commented on, and I love that. What are the next steps as far as setting up the infrastructure of the business?
Yeah, the National Roofing Contractors Association provides a lot of details and courses on roofing application and the proper way to actually install roofing application for both residential and commercial roofing. So maybe dive into the National Roofing Contractors Association's website. maybe take some of their courses, and that's a good start. I would definitely, if I had to do it all over again, I would educate myself on roofing. Roofing is very lucrative. So I definitely would say just gain a good knowledge, a basis, a ground level knowledge of what roofing is about, and then you can start from there. As far as the vendors, I did start off with a smaller vendor when I first started, and they were really good to me. My sales guy ended up moving on to a whole nother industry, and after that, I started working with a larger vendor.
The sales rep at the vendor.
Sales rep.
He ended up leaving that company,
right?
And that was the opportunity for you to. I got.
And just with anything else, nobody called on me from that company ever again, and I was like, well, I don't have a rep at this point, and on a day to day,
or no loyalty
on a day to day basis, when you're working with a vendor, when you're working with a supplier, I should say, you have questions, you have issues that come up, and you need questions answered, in a timely manner.
Yeah, sure.
So working, and this is a big piece of advice that I would, if there's anything that I can give, this is one of the biggest pieces of advice that I can give, is working with the supplier for any trade, whether it's roofing or if you're a contractor at all. Having a good supplier representative is key. Somebody that can handle issues and handle them very efficiently. Somebody that's going to answer the phone at 5 o'clock in the afternoon and answer them before 5 o'clock in the morning if you need be. And they appreciate your business because you're helping to put food on their table.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's their business. And I've had some that they won't answer the phone. And that's huge, especially when you're obligated to your clients and you got to have an answer now. So a big piece of advice that I can give would be finding a vendor, a supplier that actually has a good supplier rep. Gotcha. That's going to answer the phone calls and be able to provide you with information that you need in a timely basis, manner.
Yeah, and I see that across all business models.
Yeah.
And it's, the ones that are willing to go the extra mile or be there for you. Mm-hmm. As simple as answering the phone at the end of the day and answering questions, or coming out and training your staff, or educating you on certain products. It makes a huge difference as far as who you decide to get your products from or your supplies from.
Yeah, another good thing about, the relationship that I have with my supplier that I choose to do business with now. So my main supplier that I do business with right now is ABC Supply. I do millions of dollars of business with them every single year, and they, there's a loyalty, that I have to them and that they have to me, and the organization recognizes the business that we do with them, and they provide me with a loyalty program. As a matter of fact, right here, January 24th, actually, I'm going to Cabo because of they have a contractor loyalty program. Every year, their top contractors they take out, every year to a destination.
Wow!
And last year we went to Hawaii. Now we're going to go to Cabo this year. So,
are they going to let you bring a friend?
Yeah. Depends on what their name is.
A ball-headed friend that shares a close birthday with you.
Yeah, I know, right?
That'll be cool. So y'all are going to go to Cabo this year.
We're going to Cabo.
That'll be fun.
So, having a good they understand the relationship. The company that I do business with, they really understand the relationship, and they know that they have to cater to us because, and I'll just put you like this, business is, stressful, sure. But, if you're working with a good vendor, they can make it more stressful.
Yeah, or less stressful.
And
Absolutely. I've dealt with it time and time again.
It's a partnership.
Yeah.
So finding the right vendor supplier is key.
It doesn't matter. It has to go both ways. Because on their side of it, you can be a pain in the ass customer for them, or they can be a pain in the ass supplier, and both of y'all can cause problems for each other. So I really like, it is a true partnership. I've dealt with vendors for, supplement companies where, like you were saying, I didn't spend millions a year with them, but I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars with them, and I couldn't get these motherfuckers to answer the phone and answer a simple question.
Yeah.
Or they won't, when it's time to have something delivered and they're a day late, a week late, 30 days late, and they're not answering the phone and they're purposely avoiding you, it's time to go find a different supplier.
Yeah.
So
two things right now. So one, finding the right supplier with the right representative. I mean, that's huge.
Gotcha.
And education. So that's number 2. And number 3 would be to treat every single client like they're your only client. And really, just like we're talking about that representative from our supplier, you be that same representation of your company to
Your client.
your client.
Yeah.
And that's huge.
No, I
you
love
know?
that.
That's
I love
huge. I think that there's a lot of the roofing companies that are just out there that are marketing that really haven't.
Yeah, there's so many. I mean, they'll come knock on my door every time it rains hard. They come knock on the door. They just want to sell you some shit. They want to take advantage of your insurance company. I've seen so much bullshit out there. Not to mention just from marketing and working with a handful of roofing
I can't
companies.
say that everybody that knocks on doors is just trying to take advantage of somebody, but the majority of them, they just don't have the knowledge to really represent what it is that they're selling.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? So they could be the greatest guy in the world. A lot of them, the majority of them, just don't have that education to provide you. I mean, let's face it, a roof replacement is one of the largest monetary maintenance items that you're going to have to do to your home. Your home, typically, for most people, is their largest investment.
Sure.
So who are you going to trust with that? You know?
Yeah, Jimmy that knocks on the door.
You know, so sometimes you have to do your due diligence, and a lot of people don't do their due diligence, and they get burned. And sometimes, the majority of the time, they don't even know that they've gotten burned. They don't.
That's the sad part.
Because are they going to get up on the roof and check it out? No.
And even if they did, they wouldn't know what to look for.
They wouldn't know what they're looking for. They probably know as much as Jimmy.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't even know.
So on the business side of things, and we're going to dive into that a little bit later on the next podcast, because we're getting you back in here, because I want to get into the details of a lot of that business. What type of softwares are you using to help you run and facilitate your business, whether that's staffing, or I know y'all have to take pictures and reports and presentations to your clients. What softwares do you use, and what all are the processes that you do, one, to make your life and job easier, but two, to really offer something to your clients that your competitors aren't doing?
There's no one software that I can say does it all.
Sure.
There's nothing that's ever hit the market that and I have somebody that actually has, a big part in the softwares that we use in our company. There's no one software that does it all. We've used several, and we've paid a lot of money, and
same thing here. I mean, we use like 6-7 different softwares to facilitate.
It's a bunch of trial and error,
as it always is.
But we did find one software. So you have to have a good CRM, I think it's called a customer relationship management program, software, whatever the case. So you have to have a good CRM so you can put all of your clients in a database, and you can easily, manage and track,
everything that's going
their
on
account,
with them.
basically,
Sure.
right? But you want a good software that can give you reporting features. You want a good software that can handle, anything from accounting to scheduling, and that can be easily customizable. And the one that we found, and we about 8 years ago, we came across this one software, but we were using another software. We had just started using this one software, and this one software was very expensive.
What was the first one you were using?
Well, the first one we started to use. Well, the first one we used is AccuLynx, and AccuLynx at the time, it was kind of in its infant stages. It was good for what it was, but it was very focused on residential.
Was it for roofing specifically?
It was very specific to roofing.
Okay.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I know the gentleman that helped develop the product. He's actually local to our area.
Okay. What'd you move on to after that?
It's called FCS Control.
Okay. And is that what you use now?
No.
Okay, that was the one you used for a while.
Yeah, and what happened with FCS Control was that it was very focused on commercial service work. It revolved around service and maintenance contracts. So we had to kind of do a lot of workarounds, and we were trying to use that for residential as well. So in the first 2 years of my the life of my company, I got into commercial roofing, and I had to educate myself in commercial roofing. And we chose to go down the road with starting to service commercial roofs and of course doing commercial roof replacements. So we found this one software that actually catered to commercial service work, not just commercial roofing, but commercial service work.
Gotcha.
Asphalt, paving, and some other trades. But it was mainly revolving around commercial roof maintenance.
What does a software like that run you on a monthly basis? Just ballpark.
$1,000 to $1,500 a month.
Damn, really?
Yeah.
And is that
Depending, and that software it depends on how many
clients you have?
Yeah, how many clients and how many properties that you have in the actual.
Gotcha.
So they at first it was just how many users that you had, and then it transformed and converted over to how many properties that you had.
Yeah, when they got out of their
Not how many
infant
clients
stage.
you had, but how many properties.
addresses.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they got out of their infant stages and they started
Yeah. So
hitting you over the head.
at my peak, it was probably about $1,500, and we just within the past 2 months finally got rid of that company.
Oh, wow.
But we actually, for the past 2 years, we've been using another company. We've been using another software, another CRM, another product that we were diving in and using solely for all of our daily functions for everything, but we still had that other software. And the reason why we just got rid of it is because they made it very difficult to pull all the data
To export
out.
all the data. Yeah.
It was not easy. So we had to go account by account
Damn.
by account to pull and extract all that information. And when you're trying to run a business and when you're trying to do business to make money, to pay the bills,
Who's got time for that?
exactly. So I dropped that off all on my production
Well,
manager,
and I guess-
who's done it all.
Yeah.
And he's been able to finally take it to where it's at now.
Well, I think that'd be great advice
Yeah.
is when you're getting into figuring out what CRM
Man.
and softwares you're going to use,
Yeah.
make sure that you can easily transport that to another one. I just found that out myself with a podcast company, right, Hector?
Man, that's huge.
That's
huge.
a podcast company we're using. We've got 50 podcasts uploaded to iTunes, Podcaster, like all
Yeah.
across the board, and they want you to go through hoops to switch.
Yeah.
And you learn the hard way sometimes.
I got a recommendation for that. Another little piece of advice. It doesn't matter what CRM or software that you're using. Back it all up. And I would recommend backing it all up in the cloud. And I would recommend, and what we do is we use Google. We use Google, the Google Drive.
Google Drive, yeah.
And that has been huge. That has been huge. We have everything backed up in Google. And we actually run our entire company off of the Google platform.
We do too.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's amazing.
it's amazing where it's come over the last several years
Man.
and
I
how
wish
user friendly it is.
Google, if they wanted to, they could actually, and I don't know if they do or not, but we're using a certain, software and CRM and whatnot. They could easily jump into that market and really take
they
hold
could.
of that.
They're doing it their own way.
They'd crush it.
Yeah, definitely. So those are some of the softwares that you're
Yeah.
using to help you facilitate your business needs. What different departments do you have within your company to help run that? And now that you're, bigger, I'm sure when you're first starting out, everybody starts as a one-man operation. But now that you've got bigger, I'm assuming you've had to kind of delegate responsibilities to
Yeah.
different people. So for somebody wanting to get in this business, what type of different departments should they look at creating to help facilitate their
So
needs?
you have management, of course, and you also have accounting. You have production. You have service. And, of course, you have sales. So I would think those are the 5 key, but I would put a lot of emphasis if you're trying to get into the roofing business, really understand and understand how important it is to be able to service your clients. And you might still use a subcontractor to go out there and to do one of the capital projects or to do a roof replacement, okay? But what happens when they have a warranty issue? Okay, if they have a warranty issue, and you know what, everybody has warranty issues, and the biggest thing that you can do is service that issue in a timely manner. And the way that you can really set yourself apart is by having staff to be able to service, having employees that service. So you have your own service department, you have your own service team. And that service team could be 1 guy, 2 guys, or you have a larger team depending on how big you are. But if you're really trying to get in the business and you really want to be a reputable company that can actually really stand out, you have somebody that you hire that is very well experienced on being able to do repair work, whether that be for residential, commercial, whatever it is that you're doing. So you take that that you take that out of the hands of a subcontractor. So let's say that you put on a roof, and homeowner calls in to the office and says, "Hey, I have an issue. I have water getting in. I don't know where it's coming from, but I need you to take a look at it." Okay, well, good deal. So if you had your own service guys, well,
so you have your own in-house service guys
Correct.
that will go take care of those.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of people are using subcontractors to go
Absolutely.
put on roofs. So you
Right.
in-house all your subcontractor, or you in-house all your people to put on the roofs. And then you also have a service department that will go service them and maintenance them if they have any other issues.
well, so we do in residential roofing. We have a relationship. We have partnerships with. We have a handful of subcontractors that actually install our roofs. Okay, but they've been working for us for the past 6 years.
Well, yeah, there's certain things you just don't want on your payroll.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
Or overhead.
the service is the most important, though. And everything's important, but having employee technicians is very important. I can't rely on. I mean, I can rely on my guys, my subcontractors, to go out there and do that work. But if you're just getting started, you can't rely on your subcontractor to go back out there, because you'll be waiting forever.
Yeah.
It's
So-
not. You don't have the control at that point. That's the biggest point that I'm trying to make. Having the control, control to get out there when you need them to get out there.
Gotcha.
They could be on another job for another contractor at that point if you're using a subcontractor, and they can't get over there, and they're not going to get over there, and some of them won't go over there just because they don't want to go back over there.
Yeah. Well, and I think part of that goes back to concentrating on getting the deal and getting the sales. And
Exactly.
a lot of people don't care about what happens after the fact, and they're not going to come back for a little $200,000, maintenance service fixer upper when they're really out there trying to hit the home runs with putting on new roofs. So what would you recommend somebody looking to get in this business? I see a lot of companies out there, and I'm curious to know the difference between commercial roofing versus residential roofing. From what I've seen from the outside, it seems like it's two completely different things. Is there one that you would recommend people kind of going into if they wanted to get into this business?
As far as commercial and residential,
Commercial roofs versus residential. Now, I know your company does both. But for, the startup, somebody just now looking to get into this, is there one that's easier than the other to get into or to get started, or maybe has a better return? Or is it
both of them
personal?
have a great return on investment. Return on investment of your time. I think that the education that you really need to, acquire is easier to acquire in residential than it is in commercial. If you wanted to get in residential, you can kind of take those steps that I was talking about, going to the NRCA, website and kind of taking some of their courses. You could do the same thing with commercial as well. But if you wanted to get into the commercial realm of roofing, I would say go work for somebody. Go work for a reputable roofing company, and I would actually go work for them as a labor guy.
Yeah.
Because you need to put your hands on it for you to completely understand it. And that's how I started off in commercial. I was actually doing those commercial repairs myself by guidance of these reps that I sought out. So if I had to do it over again, if you really want to master commercial roofing, I would actually go and work for somebody as a technician or as a laborer. So you can put your hands on and have that hands-on experience.
Gotcha.
And that's a tough thing to do. Who wants to go get on a roof and do?
Yeah, not in
roofing?
Houston either.
Yeah, it's hot. Yeah, it's hot.
And it's cold time of the year, and it's still 80 degrees out.
Yeah.
I mean, in the middle of December, January.
But if you really wanted to get into that, now commercial roofing could possibly be even more lucrative than residential roofing. It's how much you want to push it and how far you want to take it.
Gotcha. What type of profit margins are there? And just give me a ballpark. I know every job is different, and
I mean,
sometimes you eat shit, sometimes you don't. But what's a good average?
a good solid profit margin, just look at it, it's 30%. And if you're doing residential insurance work, it could range from 30% to 100%.
Gotcha.
So it could be very, profitable and that's why there's so many people doing residential insurance work, is because the profits that are there are just
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's unreal.
And it's across the board.
Yeah.
You can see why people are trying to get into the business. I mean, a lot of people are chasing the money, and they're really not trying to be a legitimized company. Mm-hmm. What type of volume are y'all doing in business? 7-figure, 8-figure, 9-figure business?
We do 7 figures.
Okay.
I mean, over the course of the 10 years that we've been in business, I mean, we've gotten up to, almost $10 million in business. So we're right there.
We're right there pushing that 8 figures.
This year we probably went, or 2019 we went a little over, probably 10 million with my 2 companies. So we do new construction and we do existing.
Real cool. Yep. And how much do you spend? What should somebody budget a month for marketing? If you're going to be doing right at that 7-8 figure mark, 10 million a year, what type of money are you spending on marketing?
That's a good question. I would say that.
Or do you break it down? Do you break it down by percentages where 5% of your?
I will say this. I don't. But I would say this, somebody definitely, that wants to get into the business, they definitely need to set a marketing budget. Marketing, we've gone and spent thousands upon thousands and 10,000s of dollars on marketing. And, just like the residential roofing industry where anybody can get into it, anybody can get into marketing is what we've come to find.
Sure, yeah.
And it's very easy to blow a lot of money on marketing and not get a good return on your investment. And I'll give you an example. Doing like a pay-per-click campaign, having somebody do that for you, or having them do your SEO, or build you a website and do SEO on your website, and do Google SEO and a pay-per-click campaign and do all this different type of marketing. Man, it seems like the first couple of months that you start working with that outfit or that company, that marketing company, they're gung ho and they make you feel all warm and fuzzy inside. That you're going to get a huge return on your investment, but then it goes on autopilot, and it doesn't seem like they're putting in the work anymore as much as they were doing in the first month.
Yeah, and
it's just supposed to.
They go in there for the hard sell. Tell you everything you want to hear, bring you on.
Sounds just like roofing, to me.
Hey, there's a lot, that's what I was saying earlier. There's so many people in this marketing business, and that's why I love what we do is, we in-house everything that we do here. We're not contracting it out. Most marketing companies, it's a sales guy, and they are the middleman, and they're contracting your shit to Philippines or India, and they're just a salesperson. Come knock on your door, close the account. They contract it all out. They make their margin on top.
Yeah, anybody can do that. I know about Fiverr.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I know what's up. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the whole thing with the internet these days is, and same thing with roofing or any other industry. You can learn anything on Google these days. You can go online. You can learn how to be a fucking roofer or a mechanic,
and you can learn how
anything
not to be a roofer, if that makes any sense. You can go online and find out how to do it the right way, and think you're doing it the right way, and it's not the right way.
Yeah, I mean, you can go online and find out how to do anything basically, right or wrong. You can go on there and figure it out. And the way I look at it is, it comes down to production and getting ROI. And for me and my clients, I want my clients to be able to focus on what it is they do and allow me to get them ROI on what it is that we do. And I'm sure you're seeing a lot of that type of stuff in the roofing business, where there's a lot of people just doing a bunch of bullshit.
Let me tell you something. I'm about to be 40 years old, and I had an epiphany here, approaching 40. Okay.
Tell me about that.
So,
how long have you been roofing, by the way? 10 years now, is that what you said?
Yeah, 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah, 10 years.
Tell me about your epiphany.
My epiphany is, and this is real talk, is, you can talk about all this return, ROI, return on investment, return on your time. I think at this point in where I'm at in my life and in where I'm at in my business, I'm actually wanting to take a step back from really trying to grow my volume. Volume is not where it's at. And some people might say, hey, you got to do more volume. You know what? That does benefit the relationship that I have with my supplier. They're always going to recognize me because I'm always going to do enough business for me to be recognized.
Sure.
But the thing that I think that I'm going to get the most return on my investment, and it's not even about getting that return on investment anymore. I think it's really the quality of the sincerity of what it is that I'm doing in what I've chosen to do with my time and my business, and how I choose to generate my income, converting that over to my client. And really making them feel and understand that, you know what, they are the most important thing. I might lose a couple of deals because I don't have time for it, because I want to focus on the person that has allowed me to give them or give me their time.
That's amazing.
And I think after that, everything else will follow. And I think that's what's going to help me de-stress, because I've been under a lot of stress. And so building up to this point where I'm at in my business, I think I've kind of, I really need to focus on my client, and really just let them know that, you know what, I want to, whether it's the smallest job or the biggest job. I mean, as a matter of fact, I'm choosing at this point not to take on some of the bigger jobs because of the liability. Taking on a bunch of liability is a huge thing that now I'm understanding is,
it's stressful as shit.
It's stressful, yeah, and that's where I'm at. Where I'm at.
And that stress will, like you were saying, it'll bleed you dry, and it'll take away from giving good quality service sometimes to, the smaller guy.
Yeah, exactly.
And the smaller guys are, kind of what gets you there in the first place sometimes. Not saying for you specifically.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So I completely get that. And I respect that. And thank you for being transparent about that. That's really cool. So getting into this, now that you've been doing this 10 years, you've kind of seen the ins and outs, residential to commercial. Do you think it was the right choice? Do you think roofing was the right way to go?
I missed out on some of my experiences. I saw my friends going to college when I was out doing pressure washing, you know what I mean? And I would go visit them, out at UT in Austin, and I would see what they had going on. And some of the stuff was good, and some of it wasn't, but
you're only human.
But hey, but it was an experience that I didn't get a chance to experience because of the decisions that I made.
Yeah.
And I really wish I would have went to college. I really wish I would have went to college and had that experience. Now, that might not be for everybody, but I really do have that void in my own personal being in life that I didn't do. I really wish I would have done. You know what? I wanted it for, and now I recognize what I want it for, and I didn't really recognize why I wanted it for a long time, but I wanted it, deep down within, because I want that sense of accomplishment, and that's where I have a big void in my own life. And that sense of accomplishment is a void that I have, and hey, man, I've been running this company for 10 years. That's saying something.
Yeah.
Everybody that walks into my office or my building, my facility.
Yeah, I've got a compound over there.
They're like just blown away.
I was blown away. I was when I walked in it.
But you know what? People think that we just got all this money because we have all this and all that. You know what? It's not that we have a bunch of money to just blow, and we just got Lambos just up, in the garage and in the back of the shop, and it's not even about that. We've just chosen to take the money that we made and reinvest it in our company. So when our clients, want to see a stable company, I welcome you to come to my company. As a matter of fact, I would like to bring some of my clients on here on this podcast.
Yeah, we'd love to have them,
because they will tell you when they came to my office.
Quit banging on the table.
No, when they, some of my clients, I mean, they've chosen to come out to my office before they chose to do business with me. And when they came out, they were just, amazed at what we have. And that was the whole purpose of what,
Well, and that's another thing that I'll mention as well to people watching, whether it's potential clients or people trying to get in the business, is y'all are very humble. Y'all drive trucks to work. Y'all aren't out there high-siding and flashy and doing all this crazy shit. Y'all are very respectful with what y'all do. Y'all do reinvest back into the business, which I have seen clearly. And, you drive your work trucks around and you keep it low pro, and you do make it about your clients and your customers. And that's and I have been a client of yours, and that's why I have seen it firsthand, and I can respect that. You've replaced roofs for my mom a few times. And so I see it from both sides of the fence, and knowing you personally, knowing how you take care of your family. And, tell me what church you go to. I know y'all are very in with the church out in your community. What church is it that you go to on the north side?
We attend Spring Cypress Presbyterian Church, where I'm rolling off as a deacon. I'm not actually officially, I don't think I'm a deacon anymore, but I was on as a deacon for 3 years. So but they asked me to be a deacon again, and asked if I would come on. And because of some of the stresses that I have with work, I chose not to actually be a deacon for at least 12 months, and I'll probably roll back on.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, that's something that I know that you're passionate about. You and the family are really involved in. You're also involved in a lot of local charities and giving back to the community. So appreciate that. Thank you for that. Tell me, let's close up part of this. What would you say has been your favorite thing about the roofing business?
I enjoy it. I enjoy building something. I enjoy producing, and dealing with people. I enjoy the product, and I enjoy the relationships that I've made over the course of time. I've gained some long life relationships with both my residential clients and my commercial clients. As a matter of fact, if you don't mind, I'm going to share something with you.
Sure.
So I actually had one of my customers. Actually, what's cool about this is the very first commercial client that I ever had. Well, they're not the very first commercial client. They're my very first private investment company that I did business with. Somebody who owns and manages several properties. They own almost 100 commercial properties in the Houston area. They own and manage them themselves. It's private investment. It's not a property management company where they're managing.
Yeah, they actually own the.
Yeah, and that's where I have a.
That's the type of client you want.
Exactly. So, so over the course of the holidays, I have a job that's going on for one of my clients off of Bel Air, right here, Bel Air and 59. Well, in the Hillcroft Bel Air area. So I'm doing a roof replacement. It's a pretty good size strip center. But I had a little issue that I had to deal with over there. I mean, when you're doing a roof replacement for a commercial property, on a commercial property, you have tenants. And those tenants, they're actually occupying the building.
Yeah, they're in there working.
Hey, you gotta be aware of that, and you gotta be understanding of their environment. And we're over there doing a construction project in their work environment.
Yeah, over their heads while they're in there working.
Yeah, and there's high liability in that. So anyways, I had to send the maintenance director an email over. I knew she was on vacation all the way through the
holidays.
Yeah, through all the holidays from the 19th of December all the way through January 2nd.
Damn.
So I guess she took all our vacation time. Anyways,
are they hiring?
I know, right? Very good people, I'll say this. So anyway, she responded to me saying, "Hello, Martin. I've been out of the office, but wanted to say thank you for all you have done to help me over the last years. I could not do my job without the support, experience, and recommendations you provide me in the roofing industry. Your professionalism has been such a tremendous help in so many ways. I pray for you and your family to receive the continued blessings in your finances and health. God bless you all. Thank you."
That's amazing.
She's the maintenance director for
a large private equity firm.
Yeah, one of my longest running clients, my first actual large commercial clients that I continue to do business with, and
that's what it's all about, man.
It's kind of, you know what, that service and that relationship has evolved into. There's nobody that they even call or would even entertain, having them do any type of roof, anything.
Yeah. But that's what it's all about. Those type of text or emails or responses is why you do it.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes it all worthwhile. If there was one thing that you could recommend to somebody getting into this business, what would be, one of the top important advices that you'd pass on to somebody wanting to get into the roofing business?
And just just be sincere, be honest, and be straightforward, and really take pride in what you do, and everything else will follow.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, that's it, folks. Well, Martin, I appreciate you coming on to the show today. It's been fun. Appreciate y'all tuning in. This is Martin Morales with First Choice Roofing. I'm Jonathan Wiseman. This is Houston Entrepreneurs Podcast. Appreciate y'all tuning in. We're going to leave Martin's information. If you have any more questions about roofing, about getting into the business, he's already told me he'll be a open book. He'll be more than happy to speak with you. If you got any issues with roof, commercial or residential, please reach out to him. Appreciate y'all tuning in. This is the Houston Entrepreneurs Podcast, and we'll see you on the next one.